From the Rose Garden at the White House in Washington, and then we'll have a conversation for tonight.
Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that. Yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here, we didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly, they rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually, they're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart. And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity. And there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept.
So is this the beginning of a new trade war? Perhaps Trump's way of refusing to let the United States be taken advantage of? Well, that's the essence of tonight's conversation as we delve into the impact of this on Ghana. Mind you, the U.S. has slapped a 10% reciprocal tariff on all Ghanaian exports to the United States. And of course, my guest in studio this evening, Okyere Baafi, he is the Member of Parliament for New Juaben South, also the ranking on the Committee of Trade, Industry and Tourism. And more importantly, he was also Deputy Minister for this particular sector when it comes to trade. Honorable, welcome to the studios.
Thank you very much, my brother.
I hope you're doing well.
Very well, by grace. God has been so good to us.
Right.
I guess you're also doing well.
I am very well. I'm very well. But a lot of businesses and people in the industry are not too excited about this particular announcement by Donald Trump. Now, when you heard it, I know you've also written on this extensively, but when you heard it, what really came to mind?
Thanks for the opportunity to be part of this noble team this evening. I mean, I don't take it for granted at all. You see, we anticipated that a time will come, America will go this way.
Right.
I was so sure that if not in the next 2 years, I mean before us, it's going to be latest by 5 years, America is going to take an action that will not be too good for Ghana and countries like Ghana.
Yeah.
So I was not too surprised. I mean, just that it's very unfortunate for our people. I mean, people who have been in this business for a very long time, who have taken advantage of great policy of America to be able to export a lot into the markets. I mean, they are going to suffer. And that was my only worry and sadness. But quite apart from that, to be very sincere with you, I was not overly surprised.
Right. Because you expected that something like this would come.
A time will come
where this was going to happen.
Yes.
And so, but let me take you now straight to your write-up. Now, in the statement that you issued, you said that, well, from all indications, you do not see that we, as a country, under this administration, have a solution to this. Do you still stand by the fact that we don't have a solution?
I didn't specifically say that. I drew attention to the public that government has not given clear policy direction on
that would deal with this, the ramifications.
Specifically on export, and also to how to tackle issues like this in the future. But note that most of the people in this business are people in industry, and the industrial sector is a sector that will make the country very viable and also be sustainable. And therefore, I believe that every government must take so much interest in the industrial sector. That's how come our government, I mean the President Akufo-Addo's government, implemented the policy of 1D1F, intentionally trying to industrialize Ghana. Because note that almost all the first world countries in the world, America, Canada, China, Japan, Britain, all of them are industrialized nations. I mean, they are here because of industrialization. So we believe that the only way out for us as a country is to industrialize, to be able to set up manufacturing setup, add value to raw materials that are produced in this country, so that we'll be able to sell more here and also sell a lot outside the jurisdiction to get a lot of foreign exchange to support our country. So, I mean, this is why I believe that this government does not show so much, I mean, precision in the area of specifically letting us know the policy direction for export trade, especially in this
you don't see a clear direction when it comes to export trade.
Export trade, I mean we are looking at it from the perspective of industry, right? That people must produce for us to get more, people to export some. You understand? So if you have abolished the policy of 1D1F, for example, and you have replaced it with, let's say, a policy of feed the industry, what have you made available for that policy to be able to thrive? That's a question that we have to ask. Specifically, as a ranking member of the trade committee, I didn't see anything like that in the budget.
Right. So
it makes me worry. I mean, clearly that what is going to happen in the industrial sector. Note, the policy of 24-hour economy that the NDC is trumpeting can only succeed or thrive well under industrialization. Or the anchor should be on industrialization. So if the industrial sector collapsed, the 24-hour economy will be a hoax.
Because the explanation to the 24-hour economy is that aside jobs creation, which seems to be the anchor of that, we are also seeking to boost our production.
Yes.
We are seeking to industrialize it, and you still don't see a clear path towards that?
The industrial sector can absorb a lot of people.
Right.
That's one of the things that you have to do. I mean, so take a normal manufacturing sector, for example. I always give this example because I was working with the free zones and I was also working in the region. I mean, as an executive committee member of the African Free Trade Organization, I used to travel a lot to Tangier in Morocco. Go to Tangier in Morocco. I've been seeing it almost every time that in Tangier, there's a car manufacturing company, and they do CKD. I mean, complete knockdown. I mean, manufacturing from the scratch, and they have all the sectors of the manufacturing setup in Tangier, Renault. So they employ about 60,000 workers. So if we have about 10 companies employing 60,000 workers in Ghana, for example, it means that the industrial sector will be the only engine for growth for Ghana. And when we're able to produce more, then we are sure that we're able to also export more. When we export more and we're very competitive in the outside market, it means that we'll get more foreign exchange. When we get more foreign exchange, it also helps us in the economy. Especially, it helps us to strengthen our currency, which is good. So I believe that the industrial sector must strictly be taken care of, and government must intentionally, the key word is intentional, government must intentionally try hard to be able to boost the industrial sector or promote the industrial sector.
Right. So there needs to be a deliberate effort to boost the industrial sector for us not to really feel the pain of this particular directive.
But see, the problem is that over the period we have enjoyed. Ghana is part of the 35 member countries that America has extended this agreement with them.
Right. And
note that this is a non-reciprocity agreement. So America, products that are imported from American markets, go through tax tariffs in this country. The government has already imposed 17% minimum tax on all products for the American market over that period. So America is just doing us good. Very simple. In normal sense, they are extended ex gratia arrangement to us. That they are doing it out of grace. They want to support the sub-Saharan African countries to boost the economy and to encourage export. Therefore, they say that despite the fact that you have imposed taxes on us, we are giving you access to the American market for 6,700 plus products to enter the American market duty-free, quota-free. So if we have all these products, leather products, yam, cocoa, whatever, even cars, vehicles, vehicle parts, entering the U.S. market duty-free, quota-free means that we'll be able to be competitive in the market.
Right.
Note that we'll be competing with countries like China, Bangladesh, big economies like Japan, Britain, in the American market. So if we are not competitive, we may not be able to compete. So America is only extending this grace to us so that we'll be able to compete and get a lot of money system. Example, look at the garment and textiles industry. The numbers, the return on investment is not too huge. The profit margin is not huge. So if they're able to do more, they will not be able to get more. And in this case, it's going to affect them because now they will go without the duty-free arrangement, which means that they are going to pay taxes. When they pay taxes, it will be transferred to the buyer of the product.
The consumer.
Yes. And so when the consumer buys and it is expensive, they may decide not to even patronize or even buy more.
Exactly.
When they decide not to buy more, what happens? They will not be able to sell more next time. If they're not able to sell more next time, what happens? The local manufacturing plants will have to be either lay people off or reduce the number of production they're able to produce within a period. Right. And that's the problem.
So how do we go around this problem? Because I know, and I'm sure you are also aware, that today there was a meeting.
Yes.
The U.S. ambassador met. Were you at that meeting?
No, we were not invited.
You were not invited?
Yes, because, I don't know.
At all?
Yeah, we're not invited. So the Minister for Foreign Affairs and the Minister for Trade represented government in this meeting. Note that this particular arrangement now has turned into a diplomatic issue.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, we have to tackle it diplomatically. And so we have to use diplomacy to be able to solve the problem. However, we should also note that President Trump is pleasing his people. This manifesto promise. He gave them promise that he's going to...
He said promise made, promise delivered.
That's what he's doing. And America is happy with him. So Ghana should not be overly I mean, pushy, as if they want to get something at all costs. I'm not a prophet of doom, but I don't foresee President Trump changing his mind on this.
It doesn't look like
yes, it. I don't foresee that happening. And so what we do, the only thing we have to do now is to find solutions to these problems, specifically to be able to solve the problem that will affect job cuts, which is very important.
Interesting. And so you say we need to deal with this diplomatically. But then, in terms of diplomacy, it also involves putting ahead a very unified front. Do you know what transpired at that meeting today?
Yeah, I've read a statement that was issued.
So, aside the statement, you have no other idea?
That is what I know.
Right.
I mean, this is what I know. And it doesn't seem, they are still pushing, trying to use it. But note that this is an order by the president, and he has exercised his jurisdiction, his personal prerogative as the president of the country, and it has been enforced. What is so interesting about the whole thing is that, that is the most sensitive thing about this order that has been passed, is that it has affected the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA.
Yeah.
So AGOA now is dead and buried. Simple and short. That's the meaning. So all the companies that were taking advantage of AGOA, exporting almost about more than 6,700 products into the U.S. market.
Including textiles.
Textiles. And that's what we're doing so well.
Yeah.
Ghana, a company like DTRT, for example, is employing 6,000 workers for us in Ghana. 6,000. And it's going to affect them, whether we like it or not. So government must immediately, as a matter of fact, this should be a takeaway, for this program. I expect government to meet exporters by tomorrow. Later by tomorrow, government. It's very important, my brother. Government must meet exporters tomorrow and give them hope. Government must give them hope that we are there to support you. Government must meet exporters and manufacturers tomorrow. It should be immediate. Yes.
At the very earliest.
Yes, it should be tomorrow.
And why should it be that immediate?
No, because these people, it can even throw them out of gear. Know that everybody has done their numbers. They've done their numbers already for the year. They know they are going to make this profit. And it is not even mid-year. The second quarter, we just entered the second quarter. So it's going to throw them off gear, and that is going to affect them. Some companies can even fold up, collapse immediately. Because note that most of them will be working with facility from financial institutions. So my point is that it is important for government to meet exporters and manufacturers who take advantage of this policy tomorrow. Tomorrow they should meet them and give them hope, give them assurance that government will be by them. Government will support them. Because China is doing it.
Right.
It would interest you to know that China has come out with a fund to support exporters into the U.S. market so that they'll be cushioned. And that's what government must do immediately. So my first call is for government to...
So while we are exploring the diplomatic avenues to be able to find some level of solution to where we find ourselves, you are saying that one critical aspect that we should not neglect is engagement with the exporters and manufacturers.
As soon as possible, as soon as practicable. It cannot be this evening, but it can be tomorrow morning,
right?
Or it can be tomorrow afternoon. Government must meet them to give them hope. As a country, we have also anticipated how much we're going to get from export. We have already done our numbers. The budget has been read, and we know how much we're going to accrue from export earnings. So this is also going to affect us, whether we like it or not, because American market is big, and they have given us 6,700 plus products to export to the market, duty free, quota free. So everybody who is into export would like to take advantage of AGOA. Now it is not there. So people have started thinking now. I'm sure serious companies are even having management meeting by this time, or shareholders meeting to rethink. So there's the need for government to send an assurance into the system, not just a statement, but meet them one-on-one, meet them in a group to give them assurance that government is doing everything possible to save the situation, so that you will not go bankrupt or you will not collapse. That is very important, because we need to hold the export market tight, we shouldn't leave it to collapse. Because we're able to export more. If we're able to export more, we gain more foreign exchange. And we know what that would do for us as a country.
Right. Now, when you look at the statement that was issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs after the meeting with the U.S. ambassador, and I'm reading about the 5th paragraph, which says that the meeting additionally discussed the possible exemption of other sectors, particularly with cocoa and garments. Now, both sides agreed to work together to mitigate challenges, including potential job losses. Does this give you inspiration?
These are the most important products that gives a lot of earnings.
Cocoa and garments.
Yes, but they only did politics.
You think this statement?
The statement only because it is a total collapse. I mean, in terms of, I'm talking about Agua.
Yes.
The situation is the only exemptions under this arrangement, under this law that was passed last week, is for gas, oil and gas, but apart from that, cocoa,
every other thing,
cocoa and any other thing. I mean, vehicles, vehicle parts, garment and textiles, because we as a country is doing so well in garment and textiles now, and our only big market we have is the American market, and we're doing so well. It will interest you to note that last year, I mean, they were able to export. One company was able to export almost about $40 million into the American market. $40 million in export alone, a government company. So my point is that this is a very tough situation, and we cannot just watch and look at it for us all to suffer one day. I mean, we have to do something about it immediately, because, as I said, what they wrote is just politics. That they are still having discussion on ways to what.
But both sides have agreed.
Agreed on what?
That we are going to look at ways to ensure there are some exemptions.
They didn't say that we have agreed to exempt. No, that exemption. As a matter of fact, the U.S. ambassador in Ghana doesn't even have that power to exercise that authority in exempting some products. It was done by the president of the nation, and it was only communicated to her as the representative of the president in this country. So what we have to do, for me, we have to look at two things. And the first one is government must find money to support exporters. But before that, they have to meet with them as soon as possible. This is my key point. And I want you to take note of it. What I am expecting government to do is that government must meet them as soon as possible. Exporters tomorrow, manufacturers tomorrow, engage them and give them hope. Give them hope that government will be by them. And two, government must also find some money to support them, to be able to absorb that part, the 10%. Other countries are doing it. So government must be able to say that, okay, we are going to look for money to help so that we can absorb that 10%. So you can still go into the markets as if you are doing business as usual.
Right. But can government be able to find the money to do that?
No, but that's the situation. Then the third point is that if that is not possible, then all our strength and effort must be geared towards pushing hard to take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade area. That's right. Because I have been saying it, and I've said it time and time again, that African Continental Free Trade area has come to stay. And it is the hope for Africa. The biggest customs union now in the world. We are talking about almost about $5 trillion US, 5 trillion combined GDP. We are talking about a market size of more than 2 billion. The market is big. During the Nekufado's government intentionally positioned the local AFTA in a way that we're able to help exporters to do business, or to be able to go into other jurisdictions to trade. We did this to the National Coordination Office of AFTA. We had a framework to support the AFTA. We did what we call the action, to be able to plan of action, to be able to know what we want to do and where we want to get to within a period of time. And Ghana has not taken full advantage of AFTA. Africa has not taken full advantage of AFTA. That is why some African countries have not even still ratified the agreement. Eritrea has even not signed the agreement. But that's the hope. Because note that all the things that are needed by America are also needed by Namibia and South Africa. All the things that are needed by America from Ghana are also needed by Nigeria and Benin.
So we should take advantage of the situation rather to boost intra-African trade.
That's the third point that I'm raising. First one, I said we should engage.
Meet the exporters and the manufacturers.
Second one, government must find money to
absorb the.
And the third point is that government must take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area. We should be able to intentionally do what the MPP government did. We started what we call the guided trade arrangement. So we intentionally put together exporters.
Right.
And then we will now negotiate with a country that was also ready to do business with us, like Kenya and Tanzania. And we carry these people straight to the market to trade. Guide them to trade. Learn to match other partners in their field of work.
Right.
So that they'll be able to at least get a lot of benefit from. My brother, the AFTA can bring us a lot of money as a country. And we should
We are not leveraging on that.
No, we have not done a lot.
You know what? Let me just crave your indulgence and introduce Seth Mawenyega into the conversation. He's the chairman of the Coalition of Textile Workers. Now, they are also hard hit by this directive because they took advantage of AGOA to be able to export to the American market. Seth, thank you so much for joining us on State of Affairs. So, as it stands now, what will be the impact of this reciprocal tariffs on the textile industry?
Thank you for having me, sir. I think that is going to have an effect on a negative effect on the textile industry in Ghana as a whole. So we, like the earlier contributor said, we have to look internally, to do trade with each other in Africa. Because Africa too has a big market. Apart from that, I read somewhere in the news that Zimbabwe is also reducing taxes on American products to the country. If we also can also do the same thing to enable America to take out the 10%, that also will be fine for us. But if there's no solution, it's going to affect the industry negatively. Yes.
So, following this announcement, have you had any engagement? Has government reached out to the association to find out the way forward yet?
Not yet. We are about to do so. Very soon you will hear of us. Yes.
But what is your expectation of the government in terms of being able to safeguard this industry?
We still believe that the government can do more for the industry. We are hoping that the new government and the promises of researching the country will help us to, boost the textile industry in Ghana. However, regarding the 10%, we are yet to meet as a group to meet government officially.
Right.
Yes.
But what is the reaction from your members on this particular development?
Yes, so like I said, there's a fear that if we are not able to export, and as it was before, we believe that the general membership believe that it's going to affect us negatively. Yes, so we will be appealing to the government to do something about it.
But Seth, what is the state of the industry and what is the quantum in terms of your export to the U.S., for instance?
I don't have the figures right away. We can get the details for you maybe another time. However, no matter how little it is, it was helping the industry. And those customers that are able to send the products outside, was helping the industry. And at the same time, bringing in the foreign currency to boost the economy. So definitely, if nothing is done about this, it's going to affect us.
Very well.
Yes.
All right, Seth, thank you. Thank you so much for engaging with us. That's Seth Mawenyega. He is the chairman of the Coalition of Textile Workers. So, as it stands now, you heard him.
Yeah.
the industry is not excited about what they've had to face from this particular imposition of tariffs.
Yes, the truth of the matter is that in the textiles industry contributes to about almost 90% of exports into the U.S. market. Most of them have taken advantage of the African Continental, the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Almost all the industry players, I'm talking about the sector players, have taken advantage of AGOA. And most of them, about more than 50% of the sector, they are also exporting 100% to the U.S. market.
Right.
Straight. So they will go through a lot of difficulty. And I can foresee the challenge. It's not going to be easy at all. That's how come I'm still saying, emphatically, that government must engage them immediately. Because we should engage the exporters and manufacturers. We should engage them so that they can also give hope to their workers.
What would be the ramification if we do not have government engaging them immediately, like you put it?
It will create a lot of problems in the system. One of them, the key, will be job cuts. There will be serious issues about layoffs, what can cause us as a country. Note, the NDC government came to power not too long ago, and they promised Ghana they were going to create jobs for young people. And within a matter of 3 months, that's hit them, and very hard. That's how come, albeit an opposition member, but I believe that we are building a country, a nation.
Right.
So as much as I wish that they will not be able to do things well, but I wish that they have to succeed. If they succeed for all of us, and for the country called Ghana, of which I'm also a member or part of. So I believe that they should meet them and give hope, so that at least the management or the owners of these businesses can also give hope to their workers. That will give them, soothe their hearts and calm them down to know that they are still in business, or they will still be having their jobs to do. That is another key point that we have to look at.
Well, we'll come back and then have a conversation on the calls that others are making, that, other countries, upon hearing this, have been able to say, you know what, we have reduced our tariffs on you, and see if that would work with the U.S. administration. And we'll come and talk about that shortly. But get ready for MTN Stance and Worship 2025. Now, it's bigger and better this year. You don't want to miss out on the great performances from great artists like Tego Sisters, The Evergreen, Moses OK, Cindy Thompson, Nasi, Gift Yosei, Bethel Revival Choir, and a host of other spirit-filled artists. So join us on Easter Sunday, April 20 at the Grand Arena at 6 p.m. for an unforgettable night of heavenly worship. So gospel legends and fresh voices will take you on a musical journey through the decades, blending classic hits with modern favorites. So dress up and show up in your all-white attire and be prepared for a heavenly night. Let's come together to celebrate God's goodness and His greatness at MTN Stands in Worship 2025. It will be a heaven-on-earth experience, and the event is strictly by invitation. This is State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. We'll return with more after this break.
starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here, we didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less, so how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly, they rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually. They're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they chose. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart. And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. So we're going to have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be very severe on the people that at the gate that watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at the gate because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity. And there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept.
So yes, Donald Trump making America great again, and he says that all this is to ensure that American citizens are not cheated. America is not cheated when it comes to trade, among others. Looking out for his people, but how can we also look out for our traders and our exporters and manufacturers here in Ghana who also do business with the U.S. markets? And my guest tonight is Okyere Baafi, MP for Juaben South. He's also the ranking member on the Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism. He's held quite a number of portfolios under the Akufo-Addo administration related to trade. And before we went for that break, you listed the points that you feel that government must embark on. Yeah. Now, listening to Mawonyega, who is with the textile industry, says, well, we've seen other countries. They have decided that, well, since America is imposing this tariff on us, let's have a consensus where we also reduce what we have imposed on American products with the hope that America also reduce its tariffs. Is that an option we can explore?
Before I even answer the question, all those people who decided to respond to America like that, has it forced America to reduce or to come back off? They've not done that. President Trump has never done that. All those he called their bluffs and said that he was even going to increase the tariffs.
Yeah.
So what shows that if we go that way, we will succeed? That is just by the way. My point is very simple. America decided to give us agua, ex gratia. Let's show appreciation. Because over the period, I mean, America has been extending this agreement for 5 years, and even last year, when we went to Washington, they gave us indication that they were going to extend the agreement for another 5 years. After the expiration, it was going to expire in September 2025. So the American government gave us hope that they were going to extend the contract. So America, over the period, has given us this arrangement as gratia.
So we've enjoyed that grace.
That's grace. However, we, on the other hand, were imposing taxes on goods emanating from American soil.
17%.
17%. I mean, so for me, as a very noble and correct citizen of this country, I believe that that's not the way to go. And to be out of place, I mean, in business. I mean, for somebody to show you so much care and support to be able to grow your economy, and you have gotten to a stage that they think maybe you are strong, you can adapt or apply other means to be able to still be in business, and they decide to now impose a 10% tax, which is even less than what we impose on them. We decide to go hard. We may be the loser going forward.
So we shouldn't even consider even increasing the tariffs that we have imposed so far on American products.
I don't think we should do that. That's my own opinion. I don't think we should do that at all. What we have to do, I mean, the best is what we have started through diplomacy. And so the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Samuel Kodjo, and Honorable Samson Ahi, this afternoon met the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, which is good. I mean, so that's the first step, which is good. Whether
exploring diplomacy,
whether the consequential arrangement will be positive or not, or benefit will be positive or not, that is what we are looking at. And it has sent a certain signal that they have made an effort through diplomacy to solve the problem. What is important is that government must also engage exporters and manufacturers. When they are able to do that, then we'll look at other ways to be able to now absorb that 10% tariff to help exporters to still do business and succeed. Note that if exporters are not given hope, latest by the end of the week, I'm sure a lot of them will take action that will be detrimental to this country.
By the end of this week?
Yes, I believe so. I told you offset that when the 1D, 1F policy was abolished, two companies advertised their intentions that they want to relocate.
Yeah, you told me that on Star Today a few weeks ago.
Yes, and I can tell you in confidence, as I'm talking to you now, those companies have started paperwork in two countries in the sub-region, and they are bent on leaving this country. That is one of the things that, see, as I said, the industrial sector is a sector that Ghana must guard. We have to pamper the sector. Make sure that the sector, becomes so pampered, so that we will gain a lot of benefit from the sector. The sector is the only sector that can give us hope, that can bring joy to the country.
So prior to this arrangement or this announcement from the U.S., which of course would have its own bearing on the industries in the country, assessing the first 3 months of the manufacturing, production, export industry under the John Mahama administration, would you say that there's been some level of hope for the industry?
For me, I've said it, I said it on the floor of Parliament, that first world countries have gotten to this stage, this stage, because of industrialization. America is here because of industrialization. Japan is doing well because of industrialization. Britain is doing well because Canada because of industrialization. What about Ghana? And I'm talking about we here means the President Akufo-Addo's government intentionally decided to industrialize Ghana. So you come in and say that, okay, that intentions have been abolished without a solid replacement and a solid plan to take care of those already in existence. Note that the 1D1F companies, now as I'm talking to you now, 169 companies are operational. 169 companies. 1D1F through direct and indirect employment has employed 157,000 people in this country.
157,000
through direct and indirect employment. So this is not a policy that must be taken anyhow or must be abolished.
But the NEC says that you did not see anything worthwhile with the policy.
What's the meaning of worthwhile? What is the meaning of that? Because they didn't understand the policy.
They didn't understand the policy.
We have explained it to them and they intentionally decide not to understand the policy. But they think that the policy should only be businesses that are started from the scratch. We told you that the 1D1F policy is a manifesto promise. It's an MPP policy, government policy. We said that the 1D1F policy is a private sector-led initiative. Government's role is only to give facilitation. That's all. And the 1D1F must either be a greenfield business or a brownfield business. In other words, it must be a business that is started from scratch or an existing business that want to diversify or expand an area. That's how it is.
And they did not understand
No, because when we talk about it, if you call somebody, you said you did 1D, but you were just turning existing companies into 1D1F. But we are saying that the 1D1F policy is either a greenfield business or a brownfield business. So it can be businesses that we are just about starting, or businesses that have been existing for 10 years or 100 years. That still want to diversify, or that is even collapsed, that need to be resuscitated to come back to life. So that's how it is. And that's what we did. We intentionally took care of these businesses and grew businesses. And as I'm talking to you now, those businesses that are part of the 1D1F are doing well in this country.
And so now that has been scrapped, what that would translate to is that the benefits they used to enjoy under the 1D1F is totally gone.
What's the meaning?
And so what is their state currently?
So they brought a policy that they called Feed the Industry policy. And the Feed the Industry policy was not giving any budgetary allocation to implement the policy. So now how are we going to help the 1D1F companies and other industrial businesses to survive and to get care or to be taken care of? There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a big problem, a huge problem in the industrial sector. And as I said, the policy of 24-hour economy can only thrive on the industrial sector. And for that matter, the real sector of the economy. Because you either go into mining, or the manufacturing succeed. Samuel Kodjo was talking about doing 24-hour economy at the passport office. Yeah. How many people can the passport office employ? How many people? Tell me, my brother. And when you even decide to take the policy of 24-hour economy to the passport office, it presupposes that you're going to create an avenue for corruption because now Goro boys are going to go get free day to operate at night. But
the essence is that now we'll have a lot of people working at varied hours.
So how many people
need people now can be able to
how many people need
passports
in this country? How many people need passports in this country? So you have to look at all these things. The point I'm making is that 24-hour economy can only, and I'm saying that underline only, can only thrive the industrial sector. And for that matter, the real sector of the
Ghana Publishing Company has also launched 24-hour economy.
You don't understand. I'm talking about numbers here. How many people can they employ? If we are able to motivate through incentive the car manufacturing sector, for example, Ghana here, almost all the car assemblies. We have 7 assemblies that are manufacturing about 13 different brands of products in this country. These assemblies in this country, if they decide to give them more incentives, and government decide to be the only off-taker of these vehicles that are manufactured in this country, they will be able to employ more people.
Right.
Note, as I said, when you go to Tangier, for example, Tangier, the setup employs about 30,000. Yasaki, that's the biggest cam wiring company in the world. It's a Japanese company. They've relocated or they've built a new plant in Morocco, and they are employing 8,000. Another Thai company is employing 5,000. Put together, you're talking about 60,000 workers. So if a country, one business in a country is able to employ 60,000 workers, and we have 10 of such businesses, you see what happens. This is what 24-hour economy can help or can thrive. Without that, the 24-hour economy they are talking about will be dead on arrival.
Interesting. Well, let's pick some of your messages that you've sent on social media. In fact, social media has gone agog. A lot of reactions to our conversation this evening, and let's just scroll up a bit. Let me just find out who sent this particular message. And okay, so good evening, Michael Okyere Baafi. New Juaben South is proud of you. Yao February is also adding his voice. He says, what we Ghanaians must remember is the slogan Americans First from President Donald Trump. He's telling Americans to prioritize locally manufactured products and well, can you just scroll up, and services in order to grow the American economy. For we Ghanaians, this policy or mindset of the 10% on export of goods and services to the US should mean or should send a signal to look other means that will substitute the shortfalls or effects on the growth of the economy. What we expect the government to take from the US tariffs is okay, well, so I guess essentially it says that, well, America is looking out for its own. We must also look out for our own and not necessarily try to clap back at America, because Kenneth is also sending us one on Facebook. And Kenneth is also indicating his contribution to the conversation we are having this evening. You can also go there and join. He says, good evening, boss. I'm watching live from Kitikrati. Keep up the good job. Well, Kenneth, thank you so much for joining. We hope that you even share the stream to reach more people. So we have just a couple of minutes more to wrap up the show this evening. What will be your final words on this development? So,
as I said, I mean, my final words will still come to the suggestions or recommendations I gave to government.
The three recommendations.
And I believe that the first one must be done as soon as possible, and that's engagement. Government must engage exporters and manufacturers as soon as possible. And we should note that Africa has come of age.
Right.
Africa is where we have, that's our own. They see, so we should be able to now take advantage of the African continental free trade. I have said it in other places that, you see, Africa continental free trade has come as a blessing for Africans. This is the first time Africans have the opportunity to explore ourselves. Africans, we Africans, we have the opportunity to explore Africa very well, and to take advantage of all the good things in Africa. We should be able to explore and exploit ourselves. It's better. It's better for us to explore and exploit ourselves than somebody to come and explore and exploit us.
Right.
So we Africans, we have a real opportunity. Let's take advantage of the concept, and let's make sure that the concept thrives. Now, during our time, we set up the National Coordination Office of AFTA to intentionally push the agenda in this country. This government has taken it for granted. They are even laying the workers off at the National Coordination Office, which is not too good. My point is that it is time this government take serious interest in export trade.
Right.
That's why we talk about clear policy direction on export trade.
Well, Michael Okyere Baafi, thank you so much.
My pleasure, sir.
It's been a great run with you on the show tonight. Michael Okyere Baafi is the ranking member on the Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism. He is also the Member of Parliament for the good people of New Juaben South, exploring the 10% tariff on Ghana from the United States of America. And that's it for State of Affairs tonight. There's more at starfm.com.gh. I'm Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Good night.